The next morning we departed Piraeus to make a one-day journey across the Mediterranean to the port of Haifa, Israel. The seas were calm as we passed Greek islands and commercial ships. In Israel, we will travel in a circle around the northern half of the country, which is not unreasonable given that Israel is the size of New Jersey. We arrive in Haifa the next morning and board a bus for a 3-hour ride to Jerusalem. Leaving the city, we pass the hanging gardens of Haifa, built on the slopes of Mount Carmel. Heading south along the coast, our guide explains that Israel is a high-tech country, having become a leader in computer software and pharmaceuticals. Israel is also a leader in water technology. They recycle over 80% of their wastewater and use trickle-tube irrigation to promote agriculture. They have 500 huge trap tanks with rubber covers to collect and store rainwater, and 55% of their water is from desalination. Traveling down the Yaksik Rabin Highway, we are next to the West Bank in Palestine. The towns on the hillside are a mix of Palestinian and Jewish settlements. At one time, the Palestinians were shooting at cars on the highway, so the Israelis built a 14-foot-high fence with electronic monitoring along the border. Anyone who comes up to the fence is given 2 warnings and is then shot. Just before arriving at Jerusalem, we made a rest stop at the Elvis American Diner. Every square inch of wall space was covered with Elvis memorabilia. This included statues inside and out, plus an Elvis American flag. It was unexpected but entertaining. Arriving in Jerusalem, our first stop is the Mount of Olives. The Mount of Olives has been a Jewish cemetery for 3,000 years and contains 150,000 graves. Several key events in the life of Jesus took place here, including his ascension into heaven. From the top of this 2,500-foot mountain, one has a panoramic view of Old Jerusalem and the greater city beyond. Directly in front of us is the walled old city of Jerusalem. It is one of the oldest cities in the world. It's been destroyed twice and captured 44 times. The wall encloses an area of 1/3 square miles that is divided up into 4 quarters by the Jews, Christians, Muslims, and Armenians. The most prominent sites within the walled city are the Dome of the Rock and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The Dome of the Rock is the 3rd holiest site in Islam. It is believed that Muhammad was transported to that site from the sacred mosque in Mecca and then on to heaven during the night journey. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre dates back to the 4th century and is believed to be the site where Jesus was crucified and where he was buried and resurrected. To the southwest we see the Church of the Ascension, an Eastern Orthodox church located where it is said that Jesus ascended into heaven. Further to the south is the Mormon University, whose construction was controversial because of concerns that they would carry out missionary activities. To gain permission to build, they had to pledge that they would not proselytize. To the northeast is the New Jerusalem, a rapidly growing, affluent city of 850,000. The valley below contains our next destination, the Church of the Agony and the Garden of Gethsemane. The Church of the Agony, also known as the Church of All Nations, is a Roman Catholic church built over the rock on which Jesus is believed to have prayed in agony the night before he was crucified. It was finished in 1924 using funds from many countries, including the USA, and it was built over the ruins of a 4th century Byzantine basilica. Across the valley is an olive tree orchard, and beyond that the wall of the old city. And behind on the hillside is the Greek Orthodox Church of Mary Magdalene. The exterior has a Roman look, but the interior has a Byzantine character with a series of smaller domes. In front of the altar is a rock that represents the one used by Jesus. Next to the church is the Garden of Gethsemane. This small olive orchard contains trees which are exceedingly old. We're told that a few are as old as 2,000 years, meaning that they would have been growing here at the time that Jesus visited the garden. As we left the garden, I found it interesting that sitting next to all of these extraordinary religious and historical sites are modest neighborhoods and people just trying to lead an ordinary life. Our next destination is the city wall and the Old City. The wall was last rebuilt in 1538 by Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. It's 40 feet high and 8 feet thick. Our first stop in the Old City is the Western Wall, or Wailing Wall. The Wailing Wall is the last remaining structure from the Jewish Holy Temple that had been located on the Rock of the Mount, but was destroyed by the Romans in 70 AD. Jews come here to pray because they cannot do so in the Muslim mosque that now occupies the Rock of the Mount. They bring messages for God on small bits of paper that they stick into the wall. There are many Hasidic Jews praying. They do not work but get a stipend from the government to be a Talmud or disciple. They have an average of 9 children compared to 3 for regular Jews and 2.1 for Palestinians. Women are segregated from men and pray at their own section of the wall. The Old City is a busy labyrinth of narrow alleys and passageways. As a casual tourist, I'm not aware of what quarter of the city we are in or about to enter next. We follow the Via Dolorosa, or Way of Suffering, which is believed to be the path that Jesus walked on the way to the crucifixion. The route from the Antonia Fortress to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is 2,000 feet and is posted with 9 of the 14 Stations of the Cross. The plaque at each station shows 2 arms below the cross of Jerusalem. One arm is that of Jesus and the other is the Franciscans, while the cross is divided into 4 quadrants like the walled city. We pass other stations of the cross and arrive at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. This church was constructed in 335 AD by the Roman Emperor Constantine. It was built as 2 combined churches to join the location of the crucifixion and the burial of Jesus. The primary custodians are the Greek Orthodox, American Apostolic, and Roman Catholic churches, who don't get along and find it difficult to make decisions. The best example of this is the immovable ladder, which has been on the 2nd floor window ledge since 1757. The custodians cannot agree to remove it, so it remains as a symbol of lasting conflict and will likely be there for many years to come. Just inside is a stairway you can climb to reach Calvary. Located here is the altar of the crucifixion. There are paintings and murals on the walls that tell the story of the crucifixion. Nearby is the Stone of Anointing, where Jesus' body was said to have been anointed before burial. In the center of a large rotunda is the edicule, which is a marble room which holds the Angel Stone, believed to be part of the stone that sealed the tomb and the tomb itself. Visitors that walk through this room are closely monitored by attending priests. Leaving the church, we proceed out through the city wall and return to our bus.